This is the skeleton of a man who was aged between 26 and 35 when he died. And like many of the other skeletons found, he was decapitated. The cat is on his second cervical or neck vertebra, so it's actually quite high up, close to the skull. And it was delivered from above and behind, so sort of in this direction. It went through the bone, and you can still see that it left quite a smooth surface here, which means that it was made with probably with a bladed weapon. He also has some other injuries. For example, here on the skull there is a very shallow depression, just sort of here. It healed quite well. It was caused by a blunt instrument or tool. And normally, when you find this on a skeleton, it suggests interpersonal violence, so fighting, or it could be caused by things falling as well. But he also actually has some chipped teeth at the front, who are also associated with fighting quite often. This man was also affected by degenerative joint disease during life, which is something that happens normally later in life, but you can see it on younger individuals in ancient skeletons. And you can normally see it because new bone deposits around the edges of joints or around the edges of the vertebrae. In the case of this individual, it's concentrated on the lower spine and on the edge of the clavicles as well. This individual also had a Schmoll's nose, which are small depressions that form on the flat surfaces of the vertebrae. Nobody really knows exactly what they're caused by, but it is thought that they're associated with physical activity or intensive physical activity. And then you can see quite a severe one on this vertebra here. The skeleton also had some injuries on the legs, especially on the lower legs. One of the main ones is a fracture on his left fibula, which is one of the lower leg bones, and you can still see it because of the swelling on the bone. It has actually healed quite well. The bone is still quite straight. And it didn't actually affect the tibia, which is the other leg bone. However, there is a little spike of bone on the tibia here, which may have formed because of soft tissue trauma that is related to the fibula fracture. And on the tibia as well, we have what is probably an ossified hematoma or a bruise, which instead of being absorbed again has turned into bone. And it's this sort of shiny area of bone that you can see here. This is one of the iron rings that was found together with skeleton 37. This is the ring that was found around the left leg or the left ankle, and it's been cleaned by conservators to show the original surface. So they're very simple. It's actually a single bar of iron that's been bent into a circle. It's not actually welded, so it's just got the two ends overlapping. And one of the unusual things about these leg irons was that, unlike most of the other shackles found from the Roman period, there are no chains that are linking them together. And these rings are also not wide enough to pass through the articulated foot and ankle of an adult man. So one possibility is that they were put on when the man was younger, and that they were padded so that he eventually grew into them. They could possibly have been forged around the ankles of the man in life, but this would have been very, very risky, and because of the high temperatures involved in forging, it would almost definitely have caused the almost instantaneous death of this individual. One possibility, however, is that they were forged and left partially open, and then once they were cold, they would have been sort of hammered closed using a set and a heavy hammer. It would have been risky, but it could have been achieved by a skilled blacksmith.